call Rich County Commission meeting to order. August 7th, 2024. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Cox, you lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay.
No cancellations.
GR Peart, Kelly Thomson, is he coming or
No.
you want to come on up and
Absolutely.
have a seat here?
If there's no additions or cancellations, I'll make a motion that we set the agenda for August 7th.
Second.
Moving second, the agenda be set for today. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. If you'll state your name and why you're here for the record.
GR Peart, I'm representing the Sons of the American Legion, and we would like to put, we've noticed in other towns there's plaques up with the post of, ours is post 52, and we'd like to put a plaque up out here with the War Memorial deal out here, and I'm not sure what the cost would be. I'm guessing, I don't think it'd be over $250, and we would like it if you guys could take care of that for us, the cost. We'd take care of putting it up, getting it built, whatever it takes. So that's what we're here for.
Is this gonna be, will it be like a cast plaque or?
Yes, that's the way I image it, yes.
What are you thinking you're gonna put it on?
Well, we were wondering about just putting it on a pole and putting it not in the cement, but behind the cement in the grass somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, putting it in the ground, pushing it in the ground.
Yeah, okay. I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
You know, I think whatever we can do to help, we'll be glad to do that, I think.
Well, the post does a lot of,
Sure.
I mean, we're there at every military
Funeral.
funeral, and
No, I think it's great. I appreciate those who are willing to step forward and you know, try to make things better and attend the funerals and make sure that they're a good experience for those that have served. And I think I'd make a motion that we participate in funding the plaque for the War Memorial for Post 52.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, moving second that we support and do the help with the expenses of the War Memorial. All in favor say aye.
I
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries
kind of just
unanimously.
keep in touch with us on a
Okay.
GR and we'll, you know, let us know. I'm wondering if one of these monument companies might be willing to, I don't know whether they would do anything like that or not, I don't know.
Is it something that just recognizes the Sons, or are you gonna have names on
it
it?
would no, it would be no names. It'd actually be the post of
Okay.
the Legion,
Okay,
not necessarily the Sons. It'd be the Legion. We are just a ragtag bunch that are sons of Legion members, you know, so.
yeah, okay.
But the Legion's getting old. I mean, I'm talking guys like Ken Brown, you know, they're the ones that are actually in the Legion. We're the Sons of the American Legion. We're getting old. But they're who we want to put the plaque up for, is Post 52 Legion, not necessarily the Sons.
Okay,
So,
Okay, great. Let us know what we can do.
okay.
Find out and see what you can do.
All right, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for doing that.
Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Jeanie, come on up. State your name and what you're here for.
Jeanie Milne, and I'm here on behalf of the Randolph Cemetery District. and we, are under your supervision or whatever, but, we have a, vacancy in our board as of last night, and, we thought that we had to go through you to appoint, which we do if their, term is up, but if the term is not up and they just, then I guess I just found out last night that our bylaws states that we can actually appoint ourselves, but if it's a term that's up, then you guys we have to go through you to appoint a name. So we do have a name that we want to go ahead and appoint, and I'm just gonna.
Is it midterm? Do you even know where your terms are at? Most of the
Yeah,
districts don't.
It's, our next term is the 26th, and then the next is the 28th. So 2026, 2028, and our Geo resigned last night, so we have a name to replace him, who is Alice Argyle. So we're gonna go ahead and ask her. You guys,
Yeah, so will she serve to 26?
she'll serve until
Okay,
the
at which point
26th.
we reappoint her?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So,
If she wants to keep doing
Yeah.
it.
so
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah, as a board, if you've got a quorum, you can appoint someone to fill out Geo's term, and then once that term is up, we will either have to reappoint or someone different.
But if there's no quorum, we would have to help them establish
Right.
one. Got it.
So you're saying that that on all of, like, in the 2026, the ones who are up, you have to go back and reappoint them?
Yes, they all have to be, anytime a term is up,
Okay,
they just,
and that hasn't happened in the past, so is there a problem with that,
No.
or is there something that we need to let you
Well,
know about,
I
or
would-
is there,
in order to make sure that, that everybody is appointed to cover yourselves liability-wise, that you're actually, so if, let's say something happens, at the cemetery, and someone gets really excited and wants to sue the cemetery district, and the board, we wanna make sure that you're appointed and legally a board member.
so maybe you should
covered
come in
by-
and do that now? Or how's that get, cause
You
I don't
can-
think
you-
any of us have been legally appointed, I've been there for probably way too long. Like
So,
30
what we've done, and like I said, most cemetery districts, don't even kinda know where their terms are at, cause it's a 4-year term, and it's like,
Yeah,
we don't know who's up and who's not. And if you're if you're not sure of that.
no, we're
maybe
sure, we know where our terms
How
are,
many members do you have?
4.
Okay,
You should have 5 total, right?
No, the bylaw says we should have 4. So it says, the board shall consist of 4 persons duly elected or appointed to office according to provisions of the Utah Code 17D 1302.
so we probably need to change that to 5. I think you have to have
We thought we were supposed to have an odd number too, but, that's what it says in there, so we're just like,
so
Okay,
you,
read that again.
Yeah.
The board shall consist of 4 persons duly elected or appointed to office according to the provisions of the Utah Code 17D/1/302.
who's your other board members?
We have Deborah Kennedy
Okay,
and Jeanie Myers.
do you know when they're up,
They're up in 28
and you're 26 as
and
well?
I'm 26.
Okay,
Actually, no, they're 26, I'm 28 because we were just re-upped in 2024, January, and so was Geo.
so Alice would be for 28 then?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never, and I've been on there for almost 30 years, and we've never had any.
Well, it's a pretty quiet thing. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's
Well,
not,
it's real quiet because I haven't heard a word.
well, but what I'm saying, you guys just do your jobs, and
Yeah.
if you're
Well-
on, I mean, unless someone either dies or they move or just want to resign, very little, the appointments. It's not like we do an awful lot of reappointments, but in order to make it all legal, because you're a taxing entity, you need to be appointed by the commission.
Okay, so you guys need to do that.
So could we just make a motion reaffirming these appointments?
We could, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we reaffirm the appointments of Jeanie Lim and Alice Argyle till 2028, and Deborah Kennedy and Jeannie Myers until 2026.
On Alice, just make a notation with your motion that she will serve out Geo's term.
Okay, so move. In addition.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, moving second that we reappoint those to the Randolph Cemetery District Board of Directors. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimous. You are appointed.
Great, thanks, guys.
It's
So-
official.
So in your next meeting, Jeannie, in your minutes, just make a notation in there that your board members, that you'd all been reappointed by the commission,
Okay.
so that
So
gives
we're
you
legal
a
eagles.
record, yeah.
Okay,
Where you're a taxing entity, it's very important that you have, that you're appointed to do
Yeah.
that.
Well,
to
people need
collect
someone to
those
yell
taxes.
at, and we're the people that yell at, so we need to appoint you. You know, because if you guys do something wrong, they'll kick us out of office and they'll appoint new people, which is how it's supposed to work.
oh,
So that-
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, usually if they wanna yell, they yell
I
at,
can give you a copy of the minutes if that would work for.
oh, that'd be
your
great.
purposes.
Or you can send them to send a copy, please, to myself and Beth Santa.
It'll be a month when they sign them next month.
That's fine.
So.
That's fine. Then, I also have had several people ask about the fair. Is there a fair this year?
No,
There's not?
no, we just got decided to.
Okay.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, we are. Sorry.
People
No.
really don't know there's a fair this year.
No, I had one lady ask me last night, so is there a fair? And I'm like, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. And they're like, I haven't seen anything.
We'll
And
start posting more.
is there a rodeo? Is there is gonna be a rodeo?
Junior rodeo Wednesday and a week from tonight, and then the big
There's-
rodeo.
Yeah, there's a schedule out here on the bulletin board, there's also one in the station on the door, I noticed that I've been up for
Okay.
a week or so,
And
and the paper.
the book paper's being printed right now.
Okay.
And they'll be handed out, so, but yes,
Okay, and so who is the chairman?
Indy Jones, green. Yeah.
Okay.
Andy Green. You're like, she doesn't know if she believes anything that comes out of your mouth right now. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I was for a while, and then I got Indy to do it, so.
Okay, all right, okay, that's good to know. Okay,
So if you have a question, call her. She's on top of it. She's ready to go.
okay, good, all right. Well, no, I just, at our meeting last night, it came up and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm meeting with them tomorrow, so I'll ask, so,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great.
okay. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just appreciate your service to the
Yeah.
cemetery district and serving on the board, I mean, those are important things, and
Lots of people don't know when they're up, and you do, and you're on top of it,
Oh,
so
yeah.
thank you.
Does your board have a chairperson, or is it supposed to?
I'm the chairman,
Okay,
so there's the 3 board members and
Okay.
I, but,
just checking.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
for now, anyway.
For the next
Okay.
10 to 12 years.
No,
probably.
no, but thanks for offering. Okay, thanks, guys,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't know if we want to try to call Shawn. I don't know where he is.
He's in the IT office. I can go get him.
is he on a Zoom call or something?
I don't think so.
All right. So you start this.
Yeah, he's on Zoom.
I can see if these guys are ready to go.
That's nice.
So who should we tell?
Indy. You got her number.
I do. I'm just wondering what we're gonna do with that. Cause you got a concession stand and
Selling it.
they'll be selling and then we just,
One place would be a good place would be at the 4-H sell. Give all the buyers, all of them a drink. But that wouldn't take up a pallet.
yeah, that's about 1,000 bottles.
The pallet is. Wonder if they'd be willing to let the cheerleaders and drill team sell it. Some of it.
I don't know, let's talk about it after, maybe we can call her and talk to her.
I guess it's the athletics. I guess it's not just them. But. So Shawn was here earlier.
Yeah, he's on a Zoom meeting right now.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's what you were saying.
I'm sure he'll.
Mr. Chairman, I've read through these minutes. I would make a motion that we approve the minutes for July 3rd.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes for July 3rd, Rich County Commission meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimous.
Looks like your 1045's here. We wanted to move on to that.
Well, that's what I'm working on right here on this computer.
So, are you with Kylie? No. Okay.
No,
You own
this
the,
is-
you're
this
trying
is
to develop the land next to the
land.
border.
I wanted
Oh,
to talk
okay,
to you
yeah,
after
yeah.
the
Oh.
meeting.
Yeah, heck. Now you got your glasses off, I recognize you, so, okay.
This is your third time coming in?
My third time,
Yeah.
We'll see if we can work something out.
She good to go?
Can you hear us, Kyle? Okay. All right, Chairman, when you are ready to introduce them,
Okay.
they are ready to go.
Kylie Mellor.
No, Kyle.
Oh, it's Kyle.
Yeah, Mellor.
Okay.
Oh,
You must
know
be
what?
muted.
I'm wondering if, hold on, keep talking, Kyle. We're gonna try to see if we can hear you. How do we hear them?
He's gotta unmute.
No, he's not muted right now. Do you want me to just see if it'll come off on this? Sorry, we're trying to get the sound going. Sorry about that. Well,
Try that volume.
that volume's up, my
Okay.
volume's up.
What's up?
Do I need to?
Is it outputting to the, through the HDMI, do you know? Oh, yep, it is, cause
we're up there, so
Yeah,
I
and we
think
can
it
hear
must be, I think.
clacking.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Do you want me to put you on a phone call, Kyle? Okay, what number should I call? Okay. Oh, dial info, okay. Do you want me to call that number, Kyle? From Daniel? Okay, thanks. Anyway, this is Kyle, Mellor and Daniel Garza from TimeClock Plus to do an introduction on their software that might work for the county.
So is it gonna be different than what the time clocks they already have?
So the timekeeper system is not working for everyone. You have to have a Windows, and you've gotta have internet. We've got internet working up at the sanitation now. We gave a physical time clock to the roads crew. Downstairs in dispatch, they still use a physical. The cameras that these guys have a system where it can take your picture when you're clocking in. So you can, so that's a good thing.
Verifies it.
Yeah, they've got a variety of things. You can do a physical clock in, or you can clock in on your, like they do a geo fence, so like a certain range that you can get on and clock in.
So he's calling, how come it's not ringing?
Let me see if I can help you anyways.
Yeah, please do. He said he would call my cell, but we'll see what happens.
Meantime, I'll work on this.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Thanks, John.
Oh, you can hear us?
Yep, we got it. All we needed was John.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll just continue like this for now with the audio, just because we know this is working. So sorry about that, but thank you all for having us in today. Are we good to just jump on in, Annalisa?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, wonderful. Well, for those that haven't met me, I'm Kyle with TimeClock Plus. Also have my colleague, Mr. Daniel Garza, on the line in a few moments. He'll actually be the one driving us through a little overview of the TimeClock Plus software. For those of you that are not aware or have no context about TimeClock Plus, we are a timekeeping and scheduling specialty platform that interface with basically every payroll vendor out there, as well as any sort of human capital management. So we really are that robust offering, and our main market really is public sector. So we work with thousands of counties across the U.S., including the likes of Lake County down here. I'm in the greater Salt Lake area as well. So really we just wanted to get in and do a quick 10-minute overview video, just give you an idea of what the software can do. Typically we do expanded demos that are 45 minutes to an hour long, but today it'll just be a quick overview. Then if everybody is interested, then we certainly would love to schedule another longer demo with your team to get really into the meat and potatoes of the software. But for today, we'll let Daniel get through the 10-15 minute demo, and we ask that we hold any questions until afterwards, just so we can get through the overview, and then certainly we'll be happy to take any questions afterwards. So without further ado, Daniel, please take it away.
All right, here we go, everybody. So with the demo, we're going to start on the employee side. We'll touch on the manager, and then we're going to wrap up with some scheduling for the sheriff's department, making sure that you have access to not only, track the time that you need, any overtime, any extra comp time that may be calculated as well, but also allowing your sheriff to swap and drop shifts as they need to as well. So we're going to start with the employee. We can make clock operations super simple. So for anybody that's clocking in, there is a web-based clock. Of course, this can also be IP restricted since it is a web link. We want to make sure they're clocking in from where they need to be. So that can be IP restricted. There is also a mobile app, and the mobile app is fully configurable on a per employee basis, meaning you can allow employees to clock in and clock out. We can make sure that it is geo-fenced. They're not clocking in from their bed or from Starbucks. We'll make sure they're where they need to be. And this can be set up on a per employee basis. And we can also remove clock operations, and we can still allow employees to, let's say, view their schedule, view the hours that they've worked. They can see their leave requests and enter leave requests that go directly to their manager for approval. And of course, when that leave request has been approved or denied, in turn, the employee will also receive a notification, whether it is a push notification, text notification, or an email notification. Now, to show you some of the operations, I like to use web clock. Everything that I do show, just know it is accessible on the mobile app and on the hardware devices. So as Annalisa was stating, we have a lot of different devices based off of your department's needs. If you have badges, we can leverage the badges on our clocks. Biometric fingerprints, as well as I heard Annalisa say, we can also take a picture of who's clocking in and clocking out just to make sure we know there is no buddy punching going on. Now, when an employee does clock in, of course, we can make sure that the necessary buttons that an employee needs are here, but we can make it super simple to where an employee just clocks in, confirms it, they're done. Very short, very straightforward for certain employees. But if you do have employees that happen to work in multiple departments or have multiple tasks that we need to track throughout the day, we can also make sure that there is a job list when an employee is to clock in or clock out. Depending on their job, depending on everything that they need, whether they're in dispatch, they're an officer, maybe they do a little bit of both, we can make sure that that selection is here, and then they can move through those jobs throughout the day as they need to. And for this employee, it's not as if they have to clock out and then clock back in. There is just a simple change job button. I can go to a different code, and I can move, and I can make sure that different devices do talk to each other. So if they do clock in on the web clock, because we want to make sure that they're in the office whenever they clock in or clock out, we can enable just the change job button to be on the mobile app. For instance, everything talks to each other, so I can see that Ben is already clocked in. All I can do is clock out, maybe go on a break or change my code. So we can make sure that this is fully configurable for your employees as well. Now, just a couple of things that the employees can see on their end, just so you know, everything on this process here is a checkbox away. So if you just see something and your employees don't need it, we can easily remove it. The employees can have a dashboard. Again, they can see their schedule. We can see their hours. We do have an electronic checkbox, making sure that the employee can, if we need to make sure it's required, approve their time before you send it to payroll. That also goes with, we can include a legal attestation statement here that pops up. For instance, just something, it would be your legal verbiage, but just something in the lines of, hey, you're approving your time, this is the time that's moving over for payroll. And then, of course, any leave request, the employee can see the status of it, whether it's pending, been denied, or approved, can be put right here. And then any accruals that you are wanting to have, we're gonna be able to track that information for you. And whether it's sick, PTO, comp time, if you have comp time at overtime, or if you have a certain threshold at comp time, we're gonna be able to have those custom comp time rules, making sure that the employees are earning it when they need to. That also is, we can also put a cap on it. I have not put a cap on mine, but we can put a cap at 30, so when they use it, they can earn that time back. So that is something that we can do. And there is a fully forecasting with this as well. So if an employee wants to take time off in December, we can forecast to that time. We're gonna see any forecasted use time. We can include pending or already approved requests within that forecast as well. So very simple here. When it comes to the employees, we wanna keep it very simple for them. If there's any need for an employee to go in and add a timesheet, maybe an officer needs to enter extra duty time, or we need an on-call code where an employee may not be able to go to that location and clock in and clock out if you do not enable the mobile app. For instance, we can make sure that they can go in, add a timesheet that, of course, has to be approved by a manager, and we can just say, called out for, whatever reason we need to, but we can require a note, and that gets sent to a manager for payroll purposes for the final approval. So we can make sure that all of that is accessible. Employees can see the time that they're working right here, even in the timesheet view. So again, for the employees, we can make sure that they have all the access that they need, but that also goes for the manager side. So when your managers log in, this side is also very permission-based. We can make sure that a manager doesn't see every employee in the company. If a dispatch manager logs in, they're gonna see just their dispatch employees. So we can make sure that that is there. The dashboard that a manager has is fully customizable by that manager that is logging in. So if there's any changes that they wanna see, for instance, we don't need this, I can easily remove it. And now that manager has the dashboard that they need, they can see everything right whenever they log in. That also goes with, the dashboard is actionable. So there's approvals I can make, and I can make sure that as a manager, I'm going in, signing off on my employee's time. Now, there are 73 of these, so if I want to see all of them, there is also a hyperlink, which takes me to an area to see all of those. But also, group hours allows a manager to edit time. So while they're making approvals, if there's any changes that they need to make, the manager will be able to make those changes. We can also require a note if any changes are made. Just for a full auditing purpose, we can make sure we have all stages of it. That also means that we track any change. So even if it's an edit, you're gonna get the old value, the new value. You'll receive a timestamp, the user ID, if you really need it, the IP address of where that change took place. So all of that information will be here, and we do track that all the way up into a manager that deletes that segment. So all of that will be here for you. And of course, within group hours, I can also mass approve. So if I want to make all of my approvals, let's approve overtime, I can make all of those at one time. With that exception filter, I can go back to my dashboard. Now for payroll, sending that information to Syspin, I don't have to chase anything down, or Polaris, sorry, I don't have to chase anything down. Now I know everything I have is already approved of, and I can easily go to hours, period, export. Your payroll export will be right here. Only thing that you'll need to do for payroll, make sure the date is in, generate the file, so that you'll be able to import that data into Polaris. Now, there is just one more checks and balance system just in case something is missing. If an employee is clocked in, and this, I don't have, pay code set up for Polaris, so that's why it's showing here. But if there was an approval missing, if an employee would happen to be clocked in, if there was a missed punch that has yet to be corrected and approved, all of that has one more checks and balance system before you process payroll. So all of that will be accessible within the time and attendance software. That also goes with setting up different types of roles. For instance, we have our officers and our dispatch. Those may be different. So officers, their overtime thresholds can be set up. If there's any special overtime rules, we're gonna be able to set it up specifically for those officers. Same thing goes for dispatch. If anything's different, we'll have different roles set up for those different types of employees or departments, making sure that everybody is getting paid correctly based off of the hours that they work or the type of hours that they work. So all of that is accessible as well. Now, for your officers, for the scheduling piece, we do have a advanced scheduler, if you will, that allows you to go in, build out schedules as you need to. You'll be able to set up, I know I have this set up for retail, but you can have your shifts here. For instance, if you have A shift, B shift, if you have any rotations, we're gonna be able to manage those within Humanity. And Humanity is gonna be the scheduling piece that allows you to, or allows the officers to swap and drop shifts when they need to. This also allows you to offer out shifts. So if we have a football game coming up on a Friday, since school's about to start, and we need some officers to work security, we can offer out a shift that goes out to them. Friday, August 9th, I can easily say this is what I'm gonna need for, let's just say, the hours, and I can go in and I can offer this out, and we can say, you know what, for this, I need, let's just say, 2 people. And I can either manually assign those people, or again, I just update, publish it out, and allow the officers to select who we can make sure to pick up that shift. So as for a scheduler, as for our time and attendance, you're gonna be able to make sure and manage all of the time and make sure that we are scheduling as we need to for each of your departments that you're looking at, whether it's dispatch, officers, if there's any other departments that are looking at this as well, we'll be able to manage all of their time within TimeClock Plus and Humanity. Let me check. So with that, I know that I went pretty quick, and this is a high-level overview of the time and attendance software for TCP, but I will go ahead in with the couple of minutes that we have allotted. Are there any questions? Is there anything else that maybe you all would like to see with the software?
So, is it internet-based, or can, like, a cell phone be used to clock in and clock out, or will they have to have internet to do that, or can they do that on their phone?
It is web-based. They can, that's whenever we talked about the web clock. This is a link. We can enable it to be used on their phone, but we can also IP restrict it, making sure that this web-based clock, if you will, they have to be on your network to clock in and clock out. Making sure that they use the mobile app, if anything, to clock in and clock out. Because we can put certain restrictions on there, such as geofencing and things like that. But we can allow them to use their phone if we need to, but it is web-based. We will need internet to clock in and clock out.
So, yeah, and to elaborate on that quickly, it's a cloud-based platform, and you have full control over how they're clocking, right? If you want them using their phones, the internet, or physical clocks, you get to design those rules. And like Daniel said, internet-based, if you are using the cell phone, you obviously would use cellular data in that instance if they're out in the field driving around. And then it actually does also have the ability for offline mode. So if you're in a dead service area, we'll actually still be able to track those true times on the phone. And when you get back on the grid for cell phone service or Wi-Fi, those times that were captured in real time will sync with the cloud database.
And that can be accomplished with just an app on their phone?
Yes, sir. It's just an app that would come with our mobile package that you download on the phone.
Okay. So is it based on the number of employees? What's the cost?
Sure. So it is subscription based, so we do bill per individual employee license. So Annalise and I were still working on the overall quantity and all that. So basically there would be recurring fees for the software subscription based off the number of employees. And then there's a one-time setup fee just for the implementation, establishing the payroll interface, and configuring your database. And then that cost is to be determined just because it's based off, we use a formula to calculate that based off of the number of employees. So I can't necessarily give you that that number yet, but I obviously want to be able to present you pricing. So once we have a better idea of the number of employees, we'll go to get that to you. But basically, year one is the most expensive year, and then come year two, the price drops significantly because you're just doing the recurring fees for the software licenses. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So, did
Yes, of course.
I have a question real quick. Does your time clock, do you guys have hardware? Does it only work on your proprietary hardware, or can you put it on other time clock hardware?
Great question. Yes, we do offer hardware, and yes, it is proprietary, so only our software on our time clock.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Keep them coming.
You mentioned that you could tell where they were, so they're not signing into work laying in bed. How does that work?
Geofence.
Sure. So, Daniel, I'll take a stab at this one. So there are some rules and restrictions that you can put in place around our geo tracking, right? So again, this is all initiated when the employee is clocking in or clocking out, or taking a break or changing jobs. So we're not tracking them all throughout their day. For example, anyone in the sheriff's department, we're not tracking every moment they're driving around, right? So we can do that through geofencing, which is setting up a digital perimeter around certain buildings or locations. There's no limit to that. Or when we can track geolocation, say they're out in the field and they switch from one type of job that they're working to the next. We'll have that location stored when they are switching that type of job or clocking in, clocking out. So anything I missed on that, Daniel?
No, not at all. The only thing I will add is just in case if you do have the mobile app, if somebody does turn off their location services, yes, we still have the geofencing, but if somebody does turn off the location services, you can pretty much disable them from using the mobile app. We have that checkbox right here. If we can't pull that location, which is strictly just on clocking in and clock out operations, then we can disable them from using the mobile app if they turn off their location services. That's the only thing I'll add to that.
Yeah, great point, Daniel.
Around there.
Yeah.
If they're
In
not in that
short,
spot,
if you allow them to clock in their phones, then absolutely can handle that. If some departments you do not want them using their phones for clocking, we certainly can disable that.
And this is our hardware device. I'm just going to show it. This is a biometric reader. Again, this area right here is also a camera, so we can take a picture of who's clocking in and clocking out. But this is just the day-to-day operations of how someone would use the hardware device.
So if they're not comfortable with location data being used on the mobile app, just coming in and using the hardware would be the option, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
You can use the hardware or the web clock. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong as well, but we could also, if they wanted, if you wanted them to use their phones and not the location data, we can have the locations, all that functionality disabled, but then enable the camera to use some sort of, sometimes folks will have them use the camera to and take a picture at the front of the building, for example, and you know where they are. We're very flexible. Some options there.
Well, it looks cool. Looks like cool software you guys got.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's quite robust and very, very flexible in terms of the configuration. So that's why it's very popular amongst the local governments, the counties, particularly with any of the public safety departments. Those are, as you know, the most complex departments that need all that robust functionality. So we really can configure the database in a way that's meeting all of your needs, very unique to your rules. So yeah, we'd love to show you another demo at a later date whenever works for you to really jump in there and peel back the hood and all the different layers of the onion and show you how we can help.
Okay, so can you give us some references of what government municipalities are using your software so that we could have some conversation with them and see how they like it?
Absolutely, no problem at all. I'll put in a request right now for some references, and then our team will go through and get some good references for you. Just give me a couple days on that. It usually takes a few days to come back with a list for you, but yeah, I'll try to grab them for Utah if that works for you.
Yeah, that would be great. I was just gonna say, if you could do that within the counties in Utah and or even some municipalities, some cities, or towns. Either way, just some references so we can see how that works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that, and just keep in mind everybody uses it differently. It probably won't be the exact same, but yeah, absolutely. I encourage you to reach out to them. So I'll go ahead and get a list together.
Okay, that would be good.
Okay, wonderful. Any other questions from the group?
Looks like we're good.
Thanks for jumping on and giving us a demo.
Oh, of course.
And then in the same process, work up a cost estimate for employees and your subscription, and then we'll review that and do some references. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll work with Annalisa on finalizing those quantities, and then get you over a quote to review. And yeah, when the time is right too, we can go ahead and schedule another demo. But in the meantime, I'll get you the pricing and the references to get working on.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right,
Thanks, Daniel.
questions for the fine. Go ahead and shoot me an email, but Daniel and I will get out of your hair and leave the meeting. But thank you again.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
You too.
They didn't like our other one, so they're not gonna like this either.
Yeah, I'm trying, the idea was, the last time we talked, we said, let's just use some hardware, and I'm just not getting anywhere with anybody, so.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for lining that up, Annalisa.
Yeah, no problem.
Shawn's not here.
Shawn is here. We just need to text him. He's just down the hall. If you're ready for him.
Do you have anything?
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, I don't. I'm here to listen to Shawn and
Okay.
everything else. But I'll text Shawn right now. Hey, how about that?
Perfect. Come on up.
Howdy.
State your name and stuff, whatever.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Shawn Milne. I work for the Bear River Association of Governments. And under the Rural County Grant Program, I am your contract economic development guy. The reason for the agenda item today is basically the Rural County Grant Program has an annual deadline for applications, and fiscal year 25 is at the end of the month. As you guys have previously informed myself and Mitch, who is behind me with the Bear Lake Regional Commission, and other members of the CEO Board, which stands for the County Economic Opportunity Advisory Board, we are allocating your fiscal year 25 towards a landfill project that affects your economic viability for tourism and just overall growth, both residentially and commercially. So as part of the Rural County Grant Program, we must utilize the CEO Board to advise and counsel you, the local legislative body, as well as vetting projects that would go forward and using them to help with the report annually that's also due. I have filed the report for fiscal year 24 so that that's closed out, which is necessary in order to open up the application period for fiscal year 25. From our previous conversations, just for the benefit of the record, you've noted the need to take care of some qualifications on your landfill. And so I understand that that is where the bulk, if not the entirety of the money you would desire for fiscal year 25 to go. Is that correct?
Well, we're kind of still up in the air.
Okay.
Do we have to be, I guess, do we have to be specific as to what we're gonna use it for?
Just got it up. Thanks.
I mean, can we, yeah,
I'm not sure we're ready to commit it all to the landfill at the moment,
Okay.
basically. I mean, we like the idea of being able to pull it to the landfill, but what Bill, I think, is trying to say is we don't know yet.
Okay. So I have the reporting period, I have the application period that is done at the end of the month. We
Right.
certainly have some time for deciding some particulars, some crossing T's, dotting I's. But is it fair to say that you're thinking the bulk of it would go towards that?
well, I think we wanna look in that direction, but if we can come up with some other funding, that would release some of it, maybe all of it, if we happen to have another opportunity to come along. But I don't wanna be tied in to have to spend it into the landfill if we're able to come up with some other funding, I guess. is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we don't wanna spend that on the landfill.
Oh, well, okay, copy that, and perhaps I can back up with two pieces of additional information that may give you some welcome context. The first is that we have some unused funds from fiscal year 24.
Right.
There was one particular project that after speaking with Mitch and Brian, also with Bragg, that we felt like that was not as well suited as perhaps we had originally thought of, and though I could definitely make a case for proceeding with that project for economic development and assessment and creating a strategy for the lake region of the county, just because that's the primary function of your best visitorship economy, not total economy. Perhaps that money is best suited for your more immediate use for any engineering. At least engineering study is part of what I thought some of this money would need to be used for. So, gentlemen, I think you have, I know that you have $20,000. Okay? So you have $20,000 immediately available that
From last year.
with fiscal year 24 that you are currently in possession of, that at the request of the commission, your internal processes could disperse. There are some unused funds from last year.
Correct.
Mitch, do you want to join us up here? Just, I don't know how formal these gentlemen like to be, or for the benefit of those on YouTube.
Well,
No, I'll go
John's,
sit back down.
John's pretty formal today with his suit and tie, so, and I'm semi-formal. Me, I'm just happy to be here.
That's funny. I recognize the gradient as well. I'm Mitch Polson. I'm the administrator for the economic development, the community
Small business grants.
small business grants. So yes, there are a couple of grantees that we awarded money to last year that decided to not submit reimbursement, or they requested reimbursement, but what they requested was actually outside of the parameters of the grant that we agreed upon. Either they purchased the equipment or the needed assets prior to the adoption date, or they purchased things that were not approved of in their grant. So we do have a little bit of flexibility in that area. I can't tell you exactly how much right off the top of my head, but we do have several of those.
Several,
Actually, yes.
as in 4 or 5 or 1 or?
I can think of 2 specifically, a third potential one,
Okay.
and we always have people that, like, I tried to get hold of them, they don't even return my phone call to let them know that they were awarded. So there's a couple of those stragglers as well.
Okay.
So between those two, the absolute 20 and the potential for a few thousand more, you have some money that you could immediately start contributing towards, engineering costs or whatever it is that you need to on the landfill.
See, that's where, I guess that was the question I have, is we apply for this next round, if we've got some funding from this year, because we're still up in the air as to exactly what this is gonna cost, as far as the engineering, because we don't know how far we're gonna have to go with that engineering yet. So, we obviously, have encountered some costs up till this point. But we don't exactly know what that is, so we very well may be able to cover the engineering, with what we have left over, or maybe not. But, you know, I don't know that we wanna commit the entire grant, that we got into their options such as this and some other funding options, cause I know there's some other, maybe some funds that may come up through DEQ that
Okay.
will help us through this as well, so.
So the second element then would be that I'm well aware that we can set a plan in motion with the grant application today and modify it as we go along.
Okay.
As long as this body in a public meeting identifies your desire to change that, GOEO has been nothing but easy to work with. In another county that I represent, we've had a grant for 2 years that was intended for a 24-month cycle. We're in year number 3. They've offered an extension and may offer yet another extension that I'm looking into right now, if only because as we've worked with applicants, like Mitch has said, though it's a little bit different with this rural county grant scenario, you know, locally, we as entities would love to make sure that we deploy those monies that, you know, others are giving us in our community when we have a need. Normally, they would like to see that back to them, and then it becomes part of a bigger mix. They're pretty easy to work with when they're like, well, we know there's a need there too. We'll be patient. We just need to be able to report to the state legislature or the governor when asked. And so as long as we remain in communication, I can assure you that theoretically, so I hear you, this is not what you're suggesting, but if we were to say we want all 200,000 to go towards this need, we could write the grant that way, we could get it, and we could back away from that as, you know, as soon as a month later when you know something different, or 9 months later, and say, well, you know, we've realized that we have a cushion now, we didn't need to use it all in this particular way. I can tell you of projects like the one I just mentioned that's freeing up 20,000 immediately, and for one reason or another they haven't happened, or we've wanted to pivot. And when I say we, I mean other applicants, like Rich County is in this case, other applicants I've represented. They're like, okay, yeah, just as long as it's good by the local legislative commission or local legislative authority, which is the county commission here, county council elsewhere, etc. And they want us to really truly intend to work with the CEO board. They don't want you to just tell the CEO board what you're doing. They want us to use them. But as you know through your own experience with your CEO board, they're minimal, right? And Mitch has been giving great updates on the small business grant specifically. So again, it's all just in the name of communication and transparency. So
I think I'd like to leave that 20,000 on the table.
Okay.
In case the sanitation, in case we need it for engineering or whatever.
Okay.
And then we'll just have to, you go ahead and get that grant going and we'll.
Because I need a vote, could I ask this hypothetical, recognizing everything I just told you, that we can amend things as need be? Do you feel that there is a tolerable dollar amount that you think if I were to apply and say X amount, understandably probably the bulk, that would be needed for your sanitation project, some amount for what has persistently been this county's utilization towards small business grants, and the Bragg or Bear Lake or Bear Lake Regional Commission's administrative oversight, grant writing skills, whatever. Is there some sort of proportionality that you would feel comfortable for me to use in my application wording? And then I will need an attestation letter that says that the county commission has approved this. That's why it's necessary I'm here in public and ask for your direction.
I think we'd just be making up numbers at this point, to be honest with you.
And I get that, so I'm asking you to make up those numbers,
Yeah.
and it's in public. But knowing that we would modify it, because you know that you're entitled as a rural county to 200,000. It is the maximum allowable. To date, I've not heard of any rural county who has never taken their 200,000. But again, it's flexible afterwards. But for the purposes of writing a grant, with the best information known at the time, is there some proportionality you would like to write? Have me write that.
So 10.5% to Mitch, 18.5%. Why don't we look at this? Let's look at 50% engineering and the other 50% for Mitch and the grants. How about if we did that?
Okay.
Knowing that we've got this 20,000 we can start out with.
Do you want the brag allotment to be part of that math as it's been the last two? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So 50%,
So 100.
then 50% split by, would you like me to write it that the amounts paid to the Bear Lake Regional Commission remain and brag be the exact same that they've been for the last couple of years?
I think so.
And then the remainder therefore are small business grants?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the purposes of making up numbers, but as a placeholder, that would be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Then
knowing we can change
Yep.
if we need to. Yeah.
so then what I would ask is that before we ever advertise the small business grant, you and I, in the royal sense of that, come back and get clear direction from you guys so that we're not advertising a number that we then have to pull back from.
Yeah.
So, and that gives us several months before this calendar year is even done.
Right.
And maybe even meet with the CEO board and see if they even wanna do direct business grants. Maybe they wanna do something else with that smaller chunk of money, you know?
Correct. Copy that. Understood. Yes. There have been a number of discussions that the CEO board has had about, what other projects there may be worthwhile
Maybe
looking
there's
into.
one project, that would be good or something.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yep.
But I get what you're doing for the application. You gotta have specifics. So.
Yep. And then we have several months for the math to work out and whatever RFPs or quotes you get and et cetera and so forth. I just wanted to make sure that we don't step out ahead of you and knowing those firm numbers, because I'm sure that Mitch will get a lot of folks that are used to an annual process and asking if by November, December, it's not advertised, why and what they might expect. So he and I now feel like we have an answer to be able to say, well, we're looking into that, but there's a higher need that we need to address first that the county is in charge of, and we'll let you know.
But it'll be helpful for the board as well to know that perhaps there's not going to be quite as much money, and the give are going to be a little bit smaller, it sounds like.
And the chairwoman has asked, what their purpose might look like next year if, there were no other like localized projects. This doesn't sound as sexy as giving away money. That's obviously pretty nice, and sometimes it's actually pretty challenging to rank and such, as you know. But there's plenty of things to educate them on what traditional economic development looks like. The assessment that we talked about earlier. It wouldn't be bad to use them kind of like your planning and zoning, but in a different realm, to say, since you guys on the CEO board represent a broad swath, thanks to you guys and your willingness to create that mix of economic opportunities or perspectives for this county, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then have them debate that, ferret it out, and then make a presentation to you guys, which may include every other month, maybe a Zoom meeting with a guest presenter of different aspects of traditional economic development or innovative approaches in a rural economy. So there's other things they could do, but understandably, probably not as sexy as the small business grant has been. So,
I think,
because the state wants them to meet. Sorry, I needed to add that little plug. That the state still wants them to meet.
yeah, and they need to as we move through this process. I think we'll have a pretty good idea probably by October, because we've got to report back to DEQ as to where we're at with what, and to see to what level, we're kind of maybe a better idea of where we're at with our funding and our engineering costs and those kind of things. So,
Okay.
but let's move forward the process with the grant, with that frame structure, I think.
And still understanding that 50%, second 50% could go to the same place.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Well, as you know, GOEO is well aware of your needs, so this is not a surprise. I've had a number of discussions with them since you first addressed this potential, so they're well aware. I just have to make it formal by what I put in writing and submit. So, again, they're very understanding already. They're pre-cooked for this. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I, Mr. Chairman, will draft a very simple attestation letter that needs to come from you, and I'll be in communication with you by phone, and that I've sent an email, and just make sure that that's good. It'll be just a few sentences long that says, "Yep, I understand what it is we're applying for this year."
Okay.
And I don't think we have any new board appointments. Nope, because we reconstituted it for this year, and the least of those was a 2-year mix. Okay, never mind. I just wanted to make sure, because a couple of the other counties are gonna have some changes this year. Okay. All right, that's it. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, awesome. You got anything, Mitch?
No, I'm here to, with Travis.
Okay.
So if you guys have any questions, I'll be here.
All right, thank you. Kim Wilson.
Kim Wilson, Rich County Assessor. I don't have anything as far as the assessor side, unless you guys have something for me. We don't have any personal property exemptions to do. Because at this point in time, we've had to estimate and bill and charge a $25 penalty. I guess the one thing I do have as far as the assessor side, our computer room is supposed to be locked and secure.
Oh, that's
So-
me. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's me right now.
Yeah, but even with him using it, we need to know who's gonna be in there, because we are trying to make sure that that stuff is completely secure. And it makes me really nervous when I go by there and that door is open and there's, sorry, not
Totally guilty.
strange
I'm that
people
guy.
in
'Cause
there.
it was locked,
Strange man.
Yes.
and I didn't want to disturb your pre-meeting, so I'd asked an individual with assurance that somebody had attested that they knew who I was, because the person that initially I engaged with said, I don't know who you are, and so
she didn't
for
let him
Kim,
in.
for your benefit,
She did not let you in either.
there were 2 ladies actually. The first one said, well, I think you need to go down the hall, 'cause she didn't know me from Adam.
Uh-huh.
And then the second one was your staff, and there were 3 of them in there at the same time. And the first one who engaged me said, she just had that, leery of, I don't care how official you look, I don't know who you are. But she was very polite and professional. And then the second one goes, I know who he is, it's okay. And so, anyway,
So we had,
sorry.
Yeah.
we
Well,
had some
and
security.
I already stopped him last time he was in there, and
She
I
sure
went in
did.
and was asking who he was and what he was doing in there. And then John said it was okay. But my concern is, who's okay to be in there?
I will
and who's
bow
not.
out now, tuck my tail, and leave. See ya.
We're just wanting to make sure that room is secure, and I'm right there close by, so when I see it open, I'm shutting it. I am keeping people out because they shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
So I know he had a Zoom call thing that he needed to be on, but isn't there laptops and other places they can go to do a Zoom call?
I'm back. This is a really great case in point. My laptop is still in there, and the door's locked.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Can you go let him in?
I'll take a seat.
Okay, I'll come help you in just a second. I'll be done in a second. So anyway, we just need to set some ground rules of who's going to be let in there and who's not.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm like, it's supposed to be secure for a
And
reason.
that's probably a good default to have. Is
Well, and like I
Stringent.
said, like I said, I've already shut it and locked it, and his stuff's in there. So I'm being very, very careful with that room. So
Yeah.
just so you guys know. So when you come in and you let strange people in there,
give it a
Strange.
they
person.
may be quizzed by me very carefully of who and what and why, because we're trying to keep that secure so that we don't have problems with people tampering with our computer system.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, switching hats, Rich County ambulance secretary. The new rates are out, and so the presidency doesn't feel that we need to raise them, but that is totally up to you guys. We could charge $1,552 for our call-out transport fee. We currently charge $1,200. I think we're probably the lowest in the state. I think everybody charges the max. But that's a lot of money for people. And if they have insurance, that's one thing, but if they don't have insurance, that's a whole nother. And then we could charge up to $42.24 a mile, and right now we're at $35. Because our transports are long. We don't go just 5 miles.
Yeah.
So,
We charge what? 32?
35.
35.
Okay, we're at 35 and
We're at
our,
35 and we could be at 42.24.
and
And we currently charge 1,200 and we
12.
could be at 15.52. Like I said, but it's up to you guys, because I know the cost to operate the ambulances have gone up. But I think we've been able to stay within our budget so far with what we've been given throughout the years. I don't think we've
Yeah.
been even close to being over. I think we've been pretty careful as far as that. except when you have to buy new ones.
Have we been changing rates every year, Kim? or-
No, the
We
last
did
time we
last year, didn't we?
changed it was, let's see, we did change them last year.
I mean, these rates that they
Oh, they
allow.
change them, they change them every year,
I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
what they allow.
Yeah.
We
so-
changed ours last year,
Right.
but we were very careful
generally we
about,
don't do it every year.
no, because,
Right.
but they do, they change their, what we can charge every year, but,
That was my question, is they change yearly.
Yeah.
I personally feel that we just ought to go another year with our rates the way they are. I mean, they're, you know, our transports are fairly long and our bills are pretty significant. And even though we start charging higher rates, you know, that's gonna, for some situations, that's just gonna increase the amount that people are not gonna be able to pay. And, you know, that's my opinion, but.
Yeah, I would have a hard time voting for a rate increase if we didn't need it. You know, if we're not pushing our budget. Again, just because I've used the ambulance and it is expensive.
yeah.
And I don't wanna put that burden on people, but I want to be able to enable you guys to do your job.
Right.
So we just have that balance, and I agree with Bill that keeping them how they are is probably fine right now.
So we probably ought to have a motion on that, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we keep our rates at $1,235 a mile.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, moving second that we keep our ambulance rates the same as previous year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimous.
Good.
Thank you, I will let JCI know that.
Okay.
And one other thing with JCI, they have instituted a online payment plan or online payment platform that they can use, but it costs, each agency will have to pay $25 a month plus 15 cents per transaction that will automatically be deducted from our account each month. And then there's a 3% fee that will be charged to the patient when they pay online. But they feel it's a pretty valid alternative to trying to pay through the mail or whatnot.
Yeah.
They've also given us a merchant service application information thing that they need filled out with account number, routing number, and then the name of the officer that's going to be kind of in charge of this, which I believe when we first started with JCI it was all Becky because she was the clerk doing all this stuff, so I'm guessing it'll probably be Annalisa, but she hasn't had a chance to look this over yet. And the other thing that they said is on this application it has the name of the officer, the date of birth, social security number, home address, city, and zip. And I asked them why they needed that information, especially with social security number and date of birth, because that's a concern. And they sent me back the reasons why. They said it is necessary to comply with the Know Your Customer regulations, which are legally obligated, to follow for the merchant to process credit cards. However, it's important to note that there is no liability on the officers. Therefore, we do not need to conduct a credit check, nor do we require a personal guarantee signature. So that's kind of what they sent. And then there was another deal. They do need documentation demonstrating our nonprofit's registered status, something like that, which I was not familiar with. I'm assuming Annalisa probably
Yeah,
knows
so
all that.
KYC, the Know Your Customer, is an IRS tool. They just want to make sure a real citizen is behind the transactions, because it's been abused by foreign entities processing credit cards. So
Okay.
they want somebody real tied to, not that they're going to report it, but if somebody real puts their social security in, they know that it's not a terrorist group taking credit card payments.
Well, that's what it said, and I asked that because I said, I was like, but I think they sent this to you also, Annalisa, when they sent it to me, and I've got the conversation from Holly that's running JCI now, but you hadn't responded, and so I just got the information, and I'll make sure you have a copy of it. And I'm sorry I wasn't thinking fast enough and had one before, but so I guess the thing is, you guys would need to decide is if this is worth it, because $25 a month, that's over $300 a year. Or
Yeah.
close to $300 a year, and then it might, you know, who knows whether it'll go up or not.
I think you'd collect a lot more money by having an online payment option.
Okay.
I think it's probably worth the minimal transaction fee. I don't know.
So then that would be something you guys would need to decide, I believe. And then as far as the officer who's kind of in charge of this stuff, I'm guessing it would be you. That makes the most sense, but I don't know that. It would probably be either her or our association president, which is Dale Stacy, but,
Well, it's not a separate entity, so when the money comes in, it goes into the general fund.
Yeah.
So that would mean Annalisa would be the one that would be in charge.
okay. All right, that's what I assumed, but that needs to come from you guys, I think, so. We probably need a motion on whether you want to do the deal or,
Are you guys okay accepting online payments, especially where the customer themselves is paying the 3%
yeah,
service
they're
fee?
paying that, we're just paying the $25 a month to have this as an option, I believe.
And they'll just do, what they'll do is, I guess, they'll still pay JCI, and then JCI will just probably do an online transfer to the,
I'm
They
guessing
just said
they'll
they
use
would
that merchant
deduct it.
account that we're
Yeah.
paying, that we're signing
They
up
said
for.
they would just
Auto
deduct it
deposit.
from our account each month,
yeah.
is what it said, and like I said, I'll make sure, Annalisa, I'll have the whole thing as far as my conversation with Holly too, at JCI. In fact, let me just make it right now while you're.
It's hard to get people to send checks nowadays.
Can you get this guy back into the computer room?
I'm so sorry. You're good.
On a yellow, there should be a yellow thing in my top dress, or my top thing.
Are you good with that, Annalisa? This online deal?
I feel like the person that doesn't know anything about it. I just feel like JCI is like, I'm learning about it, so.
So would payment will go to JCI and then they'll make it to us?
I'm guessing that it'll go straight into that merchant account to us, deposited to us, but they'll see it, so they'll manage it and credit the accounts. Because if they're making us apply for our own merchant account, it's gonna be a Rich County merchant account, similar to what Eugene uses for like payments, and it would auto deposit. I could be wrong, but if they're making us fill out a paper, I would guess that's
Yeah,
what
that's
they're doing.
probably true.
Well, there'll be some discussion, and you may wanna call the lady at JCI and just get that cleared up. Okay.
Like I said, that's my whole conversation through email with Holly, so you know exactly what was said.
Okay,
So did you make a motion or do?
not yet.
Okay.
Oh,
Or
are you guys
did you
comfortable
wanna-
doing it, or do we wanna talk to JCI first before we?
Do you want to let Annalisa have a chance to look at it and me bring it back next month? As far as this, do you wanna just get going? Do you have any reservations? I
Like
said-
John says, that's the way people pay stuff nowadays.
Yeah, and I don't know if collection, I think collections will go up even if people make partial payments. I think that's gonna help.
With the collections,
Yeah,
cause
cause
we've
they'll
had we're
log in
getting
and
more
make a
and more
little
of that.
payment or whatever.
That's also the problem with raising the rates is trying to collect it.
Yeah,
I'd make a motion that we authorize online payments for our ambulance bills.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion on the table that we authorize online payments for the ambulance bills. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna let you handle it with JCI then, cause shouldn't really involve me probably, so. And that way nothing gets missed in the translation or transfer of information.
Okay. So
That's
our-
all I have unless you guys have something else for me.
I think so. So our rates are gonna stay the same, and we're
Okay.
doing online.
Online payments
Okay.
at JCI.
Awesome.
I will just when I email Holly about the rates, I'll just tell her that they approved the online rates, or the online payment, and I'll tell her that you will be getting in touch with her.
Okay.
Fair enough?
And I was at an EMS meeting down in Richfield 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I talked to some people that use different billing systems. They used to use JCI and now they use, and I wrote it down, I'd have to look. But anyway, they claimed that the other company take people to court and see to things more than what JCI used to.
Mm. Yeah,
And I don't know if-
JCI they bring it, they send it back to us and tell them they can't
Yeah.
collect on them.
I think they do more of the legal work to get the payments, and if the ambulance association's interested and thought that they might want to look into it, we could certainly do that.
Okay. The only thing I know is that JCI, the Ambulance Association, didn't really approve that. That came through the commission. I know.
To use JCI.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Because she actually came, Joe Neal, when she first started it, she actually came and did a presentation here.
It's-
So you guys approved them being our company. So it would come from you guys, or from the commission.
So the ambulance bills went from the county sending them out to JCI doing the third-party billing. So the association had nothing to do with the association, it was the commission that
Oh, okay.
made a decision to
Seems
use
like they've been doing
JCI.
JCI since I was a.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
We've been doing it for
it's
a
long
while.
time,
Because
yeah.
the problem was we were trying to bill it out, but because of all the medical billing codes that you have to use,
Right.
if those codes aren't exactly right, then the insurance is kicking back. It was a mess because there's a book this thick of the codes.
Yeah, and it's even worse now, and that's why
Yeah.
you really gotta have a,
So how come now we don't have to put what equipment is used and stuff on the report? Like we used to have
They bill for any supplies.
BVMs and everything.
I
that-
know they bill for supplies because they said, they give us a list of what we're currently charging for supplies. And they asked to update it, so I was gonna get it to Joey and see where what things cost, cause he's the one that orders for us. And see if we need to raise what they cost.
Okay.
And then I think they go through the reports, and depending on what all is done in the narrative and in the report, then that
And they bill
determines,
from that.
they bill from that.
Okay.
It
But
saves
used to
us
have
having to
write-
keep
used
track
to have
of
to
it.
check off what you used.
Yeah, and it just kinda kept us from having to go back and do all that, cause they know our time is,
Yeah.
you just don't have a lot of time sometimes to do
Right.
all that. And trying to remember what all we use.
We don't have time doing what they make us do.
It's getting,
That report.
yeah, all of that stuff is harder, and they're making it harder.
Hmm.
And so they were trying to take as much of that off of us as possible, so that we didn't have to worry about it. And then we didn't have to hand people a bill or a copy of it or anything like that. Which we did when I
Yeah.
first started, we actually gave them a copy of what we had, and we had to figure all that.
Now
And
we don't.
No, we don't. Which, the JCI thing, whichever company, it was so much better, because like I said, that just lowering those codes, I was trying to help Becky in between the two of us, and their insurance was kicking it back all the time, cause we didn't have the right stuff.
Hmm.
So if you have a company that actually knows those codes and knows what's accepted by the insurances for the different procedures and things, that was half the battle. So, like I said, I'm not telling you which company to use. They just come and pitched it here, and we went with it because they were kind of offering to take that headache out of our hands, and it was a headache. So, but
Well,
it's
we did the same thing in that meeting in Richfield as we did 4 or 5 years ago, and that's because of that meeting is why the legislatives got insurance for the EMTs and stuff. So we're hoping that our workshop of all the stuff that we did this past time, maybe we can better that even more.
well, I know the insurance
So.
thing has been. We've had several of our EMTs use that, and they said it's good insurance,
Yeah.
which is nice to know, and at least gives them something back. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay, anything else?
Any questions for
I
her?
had
don't
one
think
other
so.
thing just to follow up from last month. What did we find out on the credit card stuff for the ambulance? I was just following up.
So, well, we got online, or we, got on the phone with Zions Bank, actually what's his name? Anyway, Heather and,
Cliff?
No.
The guy from Cokeville?
no, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they come over and,
Dayton, yeah.
and they come over and we got on a phone call and they went through all the cards and the accounts and, they there was some parameters that are automatically some defaults, and we raised those parameters off. So that we'll see how that goes, and I text Mike Wahlberg and asked him. I said, is there still problems with the ambulance credit cards? Not that I know of. I think everything is good. So that was his response. So
Okay.
hopefully that changed what was going on.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Joey got declined and he sent the receipt,
When?
texted it to me. I think it's been since our last meeting, but it was right after. And then I was in 502 and used the same credit card in the same store, and it went right through.
Okay. So hopefully that's all fixed.
So I
and
told
handled.
Joey
Good.
it's his fingerprint that did it. So I don't know.
Anyway,
Okay, thank you.
hopefully the majority of the time it's gonna work, I mean, I think we've done everything we can. The only thing we don't have control of is what parameters the merchants have within their
Yeah,
own
the
systems.
stores.
Okay. But if they've been going through before, then they shouldn't have a problem.
Like I say, I used it after he got declined and it
And it
went
was
through.
fine. Perfect, thank you. And then just bless Annalisa's heart. You know how I sat in here and said I don't want a county credit card for my office, and I was adamant about I didn't need one, I don't want one. Well, I have to order envelopes through the post office, so I get the stamped envelopes and stuff, and I have to have one for that. So now I've had to go back to Annalisa and make her go back and get me a county credit card for my office. So thank you to her, and I apologize I just didn't even foresee me needing one, but I have to have one for that, so.
I think we're all kind of going to that direction anymore. There's just, it's just, it's a streamlined process for everybody, and
Everything's credit cards anymore, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunately, I'm kinda old school, but it is what it is. So, I've had to eat my words and tell Annalisa, please get me a county credit card for my office, and she graciously didn't say I told you so or anything like that. She just agreed to get me one. So anyway, I wanted to thank her for that and let you know that, yeah, I don't know everything about everything like sometimes I think I do.
alright, thanks, Kim.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Did you get into your stuff?
I have, thank you very
I'm
much.
so sorry.
That's quite all right. That's good.
So what, I've reviewed, let's see, we did the minutes. I reviewed my expenditures. Everybody got through them yet?
I was just looking.
Oh, okay.
Does this need signatures or
Yes. Well, just
initial?
either one.
Okay.
You sign, we'll initial.
And the other one's the quarterly one, and there's no place to sign on that, but in the upper right-hand corner, we need to initial that we reviewed the quarter, which is the same as our monthly, so. I move we approve the expenditures for, July of 2024.
Second?
Okay, moving second, we approved the July expenditures. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Yeah, this says that Lake Town has it, so it's in the making.
It's in the makings, yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Move to adjourn on